Yo, 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 what's good, man? This is gonna be the final video for my Cursebot on this league, and yeah, we have basically gotten all the upgrades for it. There is still a pair of gloves missing, so I really wanted to get a pair of 2 socketed gloves, and I wanted it to have the what's it called? The increased effect on there, and it kind of needed to have it needed to have certain resistances on there, and the problem with that is that when I then go to look at the market for something like that, it's let's just say it's very expensive. It's gonna be in the 200 and maybe even 300 divine area in order to get a pair of gloves. That's basically better than the ones that I currently have. So yeah, that is a little bit more than I'm willing to spend on it. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking for. So something kind of like this, right? And as you can see, this is 450 divine, which is a little bit extreme when I then have to corrupt them too to get the third socket, right? Like that is kind of a gamble that I'm not willing to do. But besides that part, everything else is completed to the max. So without further ado, let's get. All right, so here we are, and this is, I would say, pretty much as good as it gets now, without spending outrageous sums of currency. But I'm really, really happy with it. We're currently sitting at 14.3k ES. I am level 96, so I do have 4 points left over that I can spend if I go all the way to level 100. And my idea is that I'm just gonna grab these 2 energy shield nodes right here, and I'm gonna grab the 2 energy shield nodes up here. I think that's pretty much my plan for right now. I think that's what I'm gonna go for. And yeah, besides that, everything else, I feel like I've tested it. I have min-maxed everything to the fullest, as good as I could. And this is what it's looking like. So we are sticking with the bubble. I did try the time loss duel. I didn't like it too much, so we are sticking with the bubble. And it does help us a lot. It does take quite a bit of damage in certain situations, so that for that reason I'm just going to stick with that one. And it reload, the cooldown time is so short that you can like pop it all the time. So I really like that. But yeah, basically we're gonna just absolutely max out our energy shield on this build. So, and we're definitely going, first and foremost, I always go for the faster start of energy shield recharge. I'm not going to take these nodes over here first. Always go this way around, especially with this setup that I'm rocking right now. And more energy shield at fastest restart rate here, fastest start up here. So that's like the 2 things that we need for our own safety. And then we kind of want to grab these as well. These are kind of nice. All of these nodes right here. We get movement speed, we get increased energy shield, and we get some armor. Now, we aren't actually using armor as a base on the build, but I'll kind of show you why we want a little bit. So we have this one, which removes a second of the recharge delay. And then we have this one down here, which takes 60% of our current energy shield and adds it to armor. And then that basically determines our physical damage reduction. And then we have this one, which puts all 100% of the elemental damage taken onto our mana pool first. And then we have CI, so we are basically immune to chaos. And for that reason, our resistances, as you can see, they are just capped. And 0 to chaos resistance since we don't need it. Due to all the faster start of energy shield recharge, we are now below 1 second. So it's 0.98 seconds for it to start the regen on our energy shield, which is extremely fast, and it's very, very rare that we have are in danger. We can just stand in the middle of a mob and nothing really happens. I will show that off in a minute here, just to kind of like explain a couple of things more. And then we are basically going for the curse magnitude as much as we can, obviously. We're going to put all of these nodes on our weapon set 1 up here. We're going to anoint this one. And then again, we're going to put these nodes on weapon set 1, these nodes right here on weapon set 1. And that's basically it for weapon set 1. And then on weapon set 2, we have our sigil of power. And for the sigil of power, we're going to put weapon set 2. So we're grabbing these nodes up here. We're grabbing these right here for increased area of effect. And we're grabbing this over here for increased area of effect. And that's pretty much it, man. That's obviously we got to grab this for an extra curse. We're definitely grabbing this for more ES from our energy shield. We have to grab this. Increased area of presence is not necessary, but the 4% spirit, as you can tell, is, because I only have 3 spirit left, so that is a necessity. And then we're gonna basically put a bunch of our damages onto the mana pool. So we're grabbing all these nodes right here, and we're grabbing these nodes over here. So we're putting a decent amount of damage towards our mana pool first and foremost, before we get hit on our energy shield. So that makes us incredibly tanky. Oh yeah. We are going down here and grabbing some magnitude for aura and some increased area of effect, just to kind of like finish that tree out. The rest of it is just energy shield, energy shield, energy shield, energy shield, energy shield. All the energy shield node that's worth taking, basically. We are also currently rocking energy shield and curse magnitude gems. So as you can see, we have curse magnitude, energy shield, curse magnitude, energy shield, curse magnitude and energy shield. And that's it for our jewels. And that's basically what I would suggest, is just energy shield and curse magnitude. Since we're not going for like a lot of these jewel sockets, I'm not gonna go adorned and do that, because it's not enough for me to wanting to do that. Like, you will get a little bit extra magnitude, but it's not enough to where I feel like it's necessary. Now if we go to our stats, we are of course going to get a little bit more energy shield. Once we reach level 100, we should be around 15k energy shield. And that should also give us a little bit higher physical damage reduction, so like 72, 73% maybe, something like that. So yeah, this is actually extremely tanky because of the splits to our damages and due to us having a decent amount of physical damage reduction. If we head down here, as you can see, we go to this area section right here. And we can now see that 26% of our physical damage taken goes to the mana pool first, before life. So basically life is our ES, right? And that really is nice when we already have 71% of it being reduced. And then we have another 26% that goes straight to the mana pool first before we take any damage from it. And then, as I said before, we have 100% of the elemental damages, so fire, cold and lightning, that goes directly to the mana pool first before it takes from our ES. And we have decent amount of mana regen at the moment. It's not the craziest amount, but it's enough to where it feels like I'm rarely ever in danger. And we have 26% of it that goes chaos damage that goes to the mana pool, which doesn't matter since we are immune. So this, you shouldn't really look at this number right here. It doesn't matter. It's the ones above that matters. Current movement speed is 39%, so not too bad, to be fair. Our stat split is just enough strength and just enough dex to put on our support gems, and then the rest goes into intelligence to min-max and get as much mana as we can to like basically raise our effective hit pool. And that really works out well. Now let's go over a little bit of gear. We'll start with the part that's the worst part on the build, which is my gloves. Currently these gloves, as you can tell, aren't really that great, especially not for me. First and foremost, we are missing the increased effect of socketed items. So we could have 60% increased on our curse magnitude. That would be number one with 3 sockets, obviously. That would be the way to go. And we, as we are not attacking anything or doing any type of damages, this flat damage to physical is just absolutely useless and would have been way better as a energy shield mod. So like the ES percent and flat combo mod, for instance, up here, that would have been way better. And if we could push these gloves to like 250 ES instead of 160, that would have been way better, and it would have basically put us at 15k roughly. Next up, let's look at the rings. I have been corrupting these, but I haven't really hit anything that was crazy yet. And from this point forward, I'll start putting the mana quality on here, because I really want to just get as much mana as I physically can. But we do want to have 2 of these in combination with our keystone up here. Then we have 4 extra curses we can add, and 4 extra curses is up to you, of course, which curses you want to use. When we go to the blasphemy here, so you can see currently I don't have elemental weakness in, because I was just playing with somebody who was on a chaos build, so I was using the chaos. But you can just freely swap the curses out as you feel needed, depending on which type of people you're playing with. So that works out really well. Let's go to the amulet. So we are rocking a +3 skill amulet with a little bit of rarity. That rarity is the absolute #1 dead stat on this amulet, and that's not something that you really need. You would much rather want ES. That would be way better. So try to see if you can get that, since we aren't going to be killing anything. The rarity really doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's basically it for this. And we don't need spirit, as you can see, because we're just making it work with the amount of spirit we have. We have 281, and that's 3 more than we need, so it works out fairly well. But the +3 is pretty important. And then you want to have like global defenses, ES, something like that, right? That is like #1. I have armor that also kind of works for this build, so I'm okay with that. We have, as I said, anointed the lingering whispers for the extra curse magnitude. Then we have our helmet, which is a pure energy shield helmet with just some resistances on there, a bit of intelligence for some more mana, basically. Then we have this armor right here, which again, pure energy shield armor, just regular stuff, nothing crazy. Capping out resistances is pretty much what you're looking for here. Then we have our second boots here, which is again energy shield boots with a little bit of resistance on. We do have a dead mod here, the reduce requirement, which we could technically put the 60% increased effect of socketed items and get a little bit more movement speed out of that, and we would be able to corrupt them and then hopefully get another socket and then put something else in here as well. However, I'm not really gonna do that, since this is something I have crafted myself. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, and I'm not really looking to upgrade these. This is fine for me. Same goes for the helmet and the armor. Not really looking for any upgrades here. The only thing I really would accept upgrading at this point is getting quality rings with a nice corruption implicit, and getting a better pair of gloves if they weren't like 400 or 500 divines. I might actually have a pair of gloves on standard that is way better than these, so if I do have that, I'll just put that on after this league is over. Obviously the important part when it comes to the sockets is the curse magnitude. You have to put that in your gloves. Next up we have the belt, which is the darkness enthroned. Mine is corrupted with energy shield on it. That would be the number one stat, to be fair, honestly. More energy shield is always welcome. Then we put the glove curse magnitude idols in here, the snake idol as it's called, and it's a 95% increased. This would obviously be better if it was over 100%. I corrupted it, I got the energy shield, it is what it is. I can corrupt this again if I wanted to. I haven't done it yet. I've thought about it, but I haven't done it. The number one idea with corrupting it again would be getting the number above 100% here. That would be phenomenal. So let's say we could get this to like 110% or 108% or something like that. That would be phenomenal with the energy shield. That would literally be, in my opinion, best in slot. So we have the focus, which is something I have recently just crafted as well. And I would consider this pretty much best in slot. There's one that's like stat on here, which is the cast speed. We don't really need cast speed, so we could have taken any other mod here. Any other mod would have been very, very nice. But in the end, we still do like use cast speed for our Orb of Storms, but it's not super, super necessary. So it's kind of up to you if you want to make something that's a little bit better than this. It's possible. I've looked on the market. There's not a single one for sale like this. So what's important here is we get the curse magnitude, the plus skills, the faster energy shield recharge rate, and then as much energy shield and mana as we can get out of it. And that's pretty much it for this. As I said, the cast speed is not a necessity. It's just, it looks nice, but it's not a necessity. It's not something you have to have. You can live without. But you really do want to have the increased curse magnitude, and you definitely want to have the faster recharge rate. You definitely want to have the skills, and I personally would prefer mana and ES, or just ES, whichever one. Either or works. And as you can tell, this is a exceptional base with 23 quality and 2 sockets. I haven't corrupted it yet, so we could actually get a third socket on here if we're lucky. And again, this is something I've crafted myself. There's nothing on the market like this. This is a one of one. Like I've looked it up. There's literally not one like this. Not even one. Not even close to this. So the closest one I could find was way, way worse, and it was 60 divine, right? Then we have our scepter. I would say, honestly, the important part here is going with a discipline scepter for extra energy shield. That is what I would suggest going for. It's the most useful one for you. You could also go with like stuff like malice and other things, purity, depending on what you really need, or who you're playing with. In case you're playing with somebody who's benefiting a lot more from having a little bit extra critical, then maybe you want to go a different direction. But what's important is getting enough spirit here, so we don't need spirit on our amulet and our armor. And 60% plus 10% is 70%, so that seems to do the trick. It's just enough. And then the rest of the stats on here, besides we are getting the aura, increased aura effect, or magnitude, obviously. But besides that, you kind of want to just have these stats be whatever is beneficial for the party you play with. But currently, I would say some of the most beneficial stats you can have is flat damages, it's critical bonus and critical chance, it's cast and attack speed. So any one of those is really welcome, in my opinion. And as I said, you have to take the spirit and you have to take the magnitude. So it's kind of, you have 4 slots left to add a mod on. And I felt like the flat fire, flat, physical, bonus, and attack speed was a perfect combo. So that's why I kept this after I've crafted it. And I am never switching that. I'm really happy with this. On our second hand, we have our Sigil of Power. Now for the Sigil of Power, the important part here is having a level 20 Sigil of Power, so you can have 5 sockets. Besides that, having mana on here, obviously, it's going to be really nice, even though the only time you really use this for is for big bosses, big rares, and stuff like that. Just having the extra mana when you get hit is it just helps when you're swapping out of your main hand. You are losing a bit of ES. You don't have the discipline. You don't have the ES from your focus. So whatever you can do over here to just like negate some safety. So that's why we have the mana, we have the intelligence, and most important, we need the +5 skills. It has to be +5 to all skills. You could get more than +5, but +5 is like the minimum, and that's what you get from doing the essence that gives you plus skills, which is the one sitting here, I believe. So you could technically just go trade for a Sigil of Power that's level 20, and then add whatever stats you want on here, and then perfect essences in the end. I would definitely have preferred if I had some cast speed on here instead of the freeze build up. And that would have been more useful for me. But besides that, the rest of it is kind of doesn't really matter too much. It's what it is. It's okay. We are rocking the Ignite, immunity to Ignite, immunity to Stun, and immunity to Freeze. We are rocking the 2 unique ones at the end here, and then a regular Ignite one. And basically that's just, Ignite is one of the biggest, most annoying things. I don't know if they changed it or something like that, but it feels way more potent at this league than it has ever done before. So for that reason we went with the Ignite, and then obviously that cannot be stunned and that cannot be frozen. It's just a mandatory must have. Can't live without, basically, because these 2 things are just gonna fuck with your gameplay so much if you don't have them. We are, as I said, using the unique one, so we are defending with 200% of our armor during this effect. And this one gives us energy shield, 25% chance on a kill to get a charge, which doesn't matter because we don't use charges and we don't kill anything. So this port down here is completely useless. This is dead mod, but that doesn't matter because we have the energy shield recharge starts on use. So whenever we do use it, it just automatically starts our energy shield recharge, and that is really, really handy. As you can see, I'm currently using this bottle right here. This is not something you have to do, but what you can do is you can put this belt on, put this bottle on, you take the belt off, and then the bottle stays, and it says the stats will be ignored, but for some reason it's still working. I'm not entirely sure. It's the bug, so do what you want with that one. Like, you don't have to do that. You can definitely just have nothing there at all, or have a life flask if that's what you want. Alright, so after having played around with everything, I feel like I've gotten it to a point now that I'm pretty happy with where it's all at. And let's go over some gems and some support gems here. So for the Last Mirage, we are using increased magnified area of effect, basically. And we're using bidding 3, we're using prolonged duration 2, we're using cold mastery and rapid casting. So that is basically our bubble here, which looks like this. When it comes out, is decently sized now. We can actually move around inside of it, and we can have multiple people inside of it. It's really, really nice. Then we have our discipline, which is from our scepter. This gives us quite a bit of energy shield, so 309 flat energy shield is actually really, really nice. And it also grants us a bit of recharge rate, so that is really, really nice too. On our Sigil of Power, we have, obviously you want to be having the Sigil of Power is automatically on your second hand. So when you use your Sigil of Power, oh, that one, you will be holding the staff. As you can see, I'm holding the staff in my hand right now. That's why we have our Orb of Storms, is so we can instantly swap back. And what you do here is put the Orb of Storms on weapon set 1, and then don't check the weapon set 2. That way, whenever you do use your Sigil of Power, just use the Orb of Storms right after. That's also how we're going to stack up the power level of the Sigil of Power. But yeah, we're using, again, Magnified Area, we're using Prolonged Duration 2, we're using Efficiency 2, we're using Rapid Casting 2, and Cooldown Recovery 2. This was number 2 as well. Then we have Conveillance. Conveillance is our basically backup safety button. So in case we do get into a little bit of issues where we start losing a lot of energy shield somewhat rapidly, what we want to do is we want to hit this one, and then it'll start the energy shield recharge, and it won't be able to be interrupted. That means that you can still take damage, but let's say it goes down to here, it continuously keeps recharging and goes up. Even though you keep getting hit, it'll just go down to where the hit pool is from the hit, and then continuously go upwards. So it works really well when you get into like certain abyss monsters and stuff like that. And for the Conveillance, we're gonna add on Cooldown Recovery 2, we're gonna add on Second Wind so we can use it twice, and then of course Prolonged Duration. Then we have our Orb of Storms. This is basically 2 things at once. So we're gonna use this for exposure, but we're also gonna use this to swap between weapon hand 1 and 2, as I just said. And on here we have Magnified Area, we have Living Lightning, we have Lightning Exposure, and Potent Exposure. That's basically it for that. Don't need a final socket on this one. You can obviously do that, but you really don't need to, I feel like. If I were to put an extra socket on here, I would probably put... I think I would put like Spell Cascade or something like that to have more of them out at the same time. That would be the only thing I can think of right now where I think like that's worth it. Then we come to what's the main skill of the build, which is Blasphemy. And again, obviously the level 20 the level 20 spirit gems are ever so rare. Right, like they are incredibly rare, and I'm actually not sure what the current pricing is. Let me see. Uncut Spirit level 20 Divine. It's 56 Divine for one. Wow, I have 50 Divine sitting here. It's 56 Divine for one Spirit Gem level 20. Is it worth the level 20 Spirit Gem to just get one better on your magnitude, right? Oh, let's go over here. So it'll go to 40 instead of 41 less magnitude on the curses, right? Is it worth it under 1% for 60 divine? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't go that direction. What is worth it though is corrupting it, and basically corrupting all of your curses. As you can see, all of mine are currently level 20. So I want to corrupt them to get them to level 21. And then from all of our plus skills, they're basically level 25. So that would make them level 26. And the really, the really goated armor to put on this is this armor right here. Which is the new armor base, which gives you the implicit that says all corrupted skill gems gets +1 level. And you can basically roll this to be an energy shield base. So you can get like flat energy shield, % energy shield, hybrid % energy shield, and whatever else you need. And that, in my opinion, would be the #1 setup for this build. You will need a little bit of extra dex, a little bit of extra strength to make that work. But that, in my opinion, would be probably top tier to put that on. I just haven't gotten around to actually crafting it yet. So that's the reason you're not seeing me using it. And then on top of that, corrupting all the gems, obviously, both the skill gems and the support gems or not the support gems, but the skills and the spirit gems, right? Like I would just corrupt all of them. If you're lucky, you'll have a +1 skill on the ones that really matters. And if not, then what I would do is just continuously quality them up and then keep corrupting them until you get the +1 level. And you can always, after that, go for the double corruption with the crystallized corruption and then get extra quality on there on top of that, which would really be what we want. We would want 23 quality and +1 level. That would be number 1 for these curses. As I said, I haven't gotten around to actually doing that yet. Since I haven't been playing it a whole lot lately, I've been playing a lot of solo instead. But yeah, so I would say the Temp Chain and Enfeeble are the 2 must-have curses in here. It's the 2 we never take out. Temp Chain because it slows every enemy down by a crazy amount. So they walk slow, they attack slow, and that works out really well for us. And Enfeeble makes them do way less damage, so they now attack slower and they move slower and they do less damage, which is just a massive safety net for myself and the rest of the people who are in the group I'm playing in. Then we have the magnified area to just have a little bit more reach around us, so we don't have to actually be super close to them before they get cursed. They get cursed a fair bit away, like roughly around where this map device thing is right here. Then we got the vulnerability, which is gonna basically lower their total armor. That in combination with despair on certain builds is just a mean combo. We were doing Uber Arbiter yesterday and with a chaos build, so I swapped in the despair and I had the vulnerability, and he just did like 40 million damage to that Arbiter in no time. Like without me it was crazy slow, with me it was just instant. It was actually crazy looking. Obviously, last but not least, we have elemental weakness here. This is just a no-brainer. That's basically the one I swap out depending on who I'm playing with. If I'm playing with chaos builds, that's usually what I'll swap out. In case I play with chaos builds and elemental builds, and there's not really any melee builds or any, like, I'll don't mind swapping the vulnerability if I have to. So that is one way you can do it. This is how I like to set it up. And then last but not least, we have Overwhelming Presence, which is basically going to reduce the enemy's stun threshold, elemental ailment threshold, and it just works really well. Especially with all the extra magnitude we have on both auras and curses and all that stuff. It all comes together and it all basically works out really well together, and there is like nothing I can really put my finger on now that is like not good about the build, or like the build is lacking a little bit. So here we are just inside of one of the interludes real quick. We're gonna let these come awake and then we're gonna see. So 110% on the temp chain. You can see how slow they're like literally they are moving in slow motion, right? Like, and if you look at every time they hit me, the energy shield recharge rate starts so fast. They hit me and it starts. They hit me and it starts, right? Like that's what you want. So you're basically never really taking any damage, and when you do take damage, you get your health back immediately after. But yeah, so as when we look at here, you can see the temporal chains and the elemental weakness gives minus 110%. The enfeeble gives minus 55%, which is quite a lot to be fair. And then we have minus 43,500 armor. And we can then swap out our elemental weakness for the despair. And you'll see we have minus 91% chaos res. Honestly, this is insane. It's just absolutely crazy how much this helps when you're in a group. Now, let's just quickly do like this here. As you'll see, Well, right, everything is gonna die now, so I can't even show that. Let's go over here. Let's not do the, I'll just have to exit instead. There we go, okay. So I'm gonna stand inside the bubble. Nothing happens, you see that? Now, this is obviously not a representation of the end game, which I'm gonna, at the end here, I'm gonna add a video of me playing like a juiced up temple to kind of like give you an idea of what it looks like when you're playing with a group, and it's like on the highest tier, like highest level it can be on. And this is probably gonna look a little bit insane and sound a little bit insane because the amount of drops you're getting is stupid, right? Like it's broken as fuck. So yeah, I know that this is not quite the way I had envisioned it to begin with. It's not what I had quite thought it would turn out to be. I did not think it would be as good as it is. I definitely didn't think that we would end up having something that was even better than the Chronomancer, because I felt like the Chronomancer would probably be reigning queen, you could say, in terms of having a Cursebot. Just due to some of the utility that we get that's more group oriented in terms of the ascendancy points, right? But where I find that the Chronomancer is lacking a little bit is on the defensive side, and there is times we just run into enemies that do way too much damage, and it's just too hard on it. So it's not, the survivability on that feels like it's way less than this one. This one feels like it's a massive, massive tank where you want to be the first person. You're the guy who's running into a pile of enemies, and just like I'm not like I'm doing now, where I'm just standing still inside of a middle of a group of enemies. That's basically what you're playing here. You're running up, you're making sure everything is cursed, and then the rest of the group comes up to kill everything, right? And then you can literally just stand here. And then whenever everything dies, then we move on to the next group, and we're just going to do the same. We're going to stand in the middle, and we're just going to wait for the remainder of the team to come up and then destroy everything that's around us, right? But due to all this damage split into mana, bunch of armor, all this ES, all these things, as you can tell, like the damages have been lowered enough to where we are taking so little amount of damage, and we are so fast at regaining our health that it's so rare that we die. It's still possible, but now it has to be something that's outrageously high damage, right? It has to be some type of one-shot ability, like the Arbiter's corridor move, for instance. That was one thing that kept getting us yesterday, is because when you're doing that in a group, it's really hard to move together and be like right on top of each other and not body block each other, so you tend to stand a little bit away from each other, right? Like we have just a tiny bit of air in between each other, and that is enough to where the corridor can spawn too far away from where you are, because one of your teammates is like further down the line, and it spawns the corridor in the area where he is in and not the area where you're in, and then you're just gonna get annihilated, right? It's just how it is. But besides those few types of attacks, like the rare monsters and stuff, really don't do much to us. There is maybe one or two abyss monsters that can kind of do damage to us, but if we are fast, if we are really awake and on point with what we're doing, they won't be able to kill us, because we'll just hit the convalesce, we'll hit the bubble, and then we're basically safe, right? And then if not, if we hit the convalesce, energy shield starts recharging, and it's not recharging fast enough compared to how much damage we're taking. We have our other safety button, which is this one right here, which is the other skill we're getting from our ascendancy point, which is causes the energy shield recharge to charge like super fast. So these things in combination with each other works out incredibly well in the end game. It's just so good. And then obviously having curses that are this high means that you wouldn't really need to use like Ricciatas, for instance. You don't need to use all these penetrate the resistances and stuff like that, but that doesn't matter because we are literally putting them on the negative side of resistances no matter what. Very few enemies in the game will have more resistance than what we are putting out here. You will see from time to time on certain bosses and stuff that they do have like a really high type of resistance towards one of the curses. Maybe it's towards the temp chain and the enfeeble, or maybe it's towards the elemental weakness and the vulnerability. And then the rest of the numbers will stay high, and then the other two numbers will go low. But that's still fine because it's enough to where when somebody starts shooting at that enemy, they'll like make it die. So that's pretty much it with the build. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys play around with it. I would really suggest that in case you do find some kind of upgrade for it, or if you figure out some combination that is very useful for it, that I personally haven't thought of yet, I would really love if you would put that in the comments below. Or just jump by the live stream, whatever, and let me know what you figured out, because I'm super intrigued and interested in knowing if there is a better potential setup than what I'm currently using. I don't think so. I personally think this is as good as it can get. Like, I don't think I will be able to get anything besides a little bit extra energy shield, right? I don't think I'll really get anything for the build now that's gonna be monumentally bigger upgrade than what I have right now, right? Like, it's not gonna feel like a lot bigger upgrade. It's just gonna be very minute upgrades. Small percentages, 1% here, 5% there, that's about it, right? So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one.